Welcome to the Voices of Life podcast, a ministry of the Church for life. Today we begin a special journey, a journey through history, a journey through courage, a journey shaped by the life of President Theodore Roosevelt. I'm your narrator, and I'm honored to guide you through this story. But I'm not alone. Your host is Pastor David, a voice of faith, a voice of strength, a voice that brings history to life. Joining him is co-host Grace Morgan, a steady presence, a thoughtful guide, a voice of clarity and compassion. Together, Pastor David and Grace lead us into the heart of Roosevelt's legacy, his courage, his leadership, his love for the American landscape, and the values that still speak to us today. So settle in, open your heart, and let this story inspire you. This is the Voices of Life podcast, where history lives, where faith speaks, where hope rises.
Welcome to the Voices of Life podcast. I'm Pastor David, and with me is my co-host, Grace Morgan. Today we will dive into the life and legacy of President Theodore Roosevelt Jr. and discover his trials, triumphs, and contributions to the United States of America.
Theodore Roosevelt Jr. was born on October 27, 1858, in New York City, into a world that was rapidly changing. The United States was young, restless, and on the brink of the Civil War. Roosevelt's childhood home was filled with warmth, privilege, and opportunity. Yet his early years were marked by physical weakness that threatened to overshadow his potential. Asthma gripped him relentlessly, leaving him gasping for breath during long nights when his father walked him back and forth, hoping movement would ease the attacks. In an era before modern medicine, asthma was not merely an inconvenience, it was a constant reminder of fragility. But adversity often becomes the forge of greatness. Roosevelt's father, Theodore Sire, was a man of deep compassion and moral strength. He believed in discipline, character, and the shaping of the soul through challenge. One day, he looked at his son, brilliant, curious, imaginative, and said words that would define Theodore's life. "You have the mind, but not the body. You must make your body." It was not a rebuke. It was a calling. Roosevelt answered it with fierce determination. He began exercising vigorously, taking up gymnastics, rowing, hiking, and eventually boxing. He built a gym in his home and pushed himself beyond the limits of comfort until the frail boy became a young man of strength and resilience. Roosevelt later called this transformation the foundation of his philosophy, the strenuous life. A life of effort, courage, and moral and physical fortitude. A life that rejected passivity and embraced challenge. His mother, Martha Mitty Bullock Roosevelt, brought warmth, charm, and Southern grace. Her heritage gave Theodore a unique perspective on the nation's divisions. Her brothers fought for the Confederacy, while Theodore's sire supported the Union. Young Theodore grew up watching the tension between love and loyalty, conviction and compassion. It taught him that America was a tapestry of contradictions, and that leadership required understanding, empathy, and strength. Roosevelt's fascination with nature began early. He collected insects, birds, and small animals, filling notebooks with observations. He created what he called the Roosevelt Museum of Natural History in his bedroom, complete with specimens and handwritten labels. His curiosity was boundless. He wanted to know how the world worked, why animals behaved as they did, how ecosystems thrived. This passion for nature would later shape the conservation movement and preserve millions of acres of American wilderness. His intellectual life was equally rich. He devoured books, history, philosophy, poetry, adventure stories. He read with intensity, often finishing multiple books in a single day. He believed that knowledge was not merely for personal enrichment, but for public service. He once wrote, "I wish to preach, not the doctrine of ignoble ease, but the doctrine of the strenuous life." That doctrine began in childhood, in the quiet hours spent reading, learning, and dreaming of a life beyond the confines of illness. Roosevelt's early experiences, the struggle for breath, the discipline of exercise, the love of nature, the tension of a divided family, shaped a worldview grounded in duty, resilience, and moral courage. These qualities would become the bedrock of his leadership.
Roosevelt's early life reminds us that weakness does not disqualify destiny. God often shapes great leaders through adversity. The frail boy who struggled to breathe became a man who breathed life into a nation. His father's challenge, "You must make your body," echoes a spirit of truth. We are called to cultivate strength, discipline, and resilience. Roosevelt's story invites us to embrace our own strenuous life, a life of faith, courage, and purpose. God uses difficulty to forge character. Roosevelt learned perseverance because he had to fight for every breath. He learned compassion because he saw suffering in his own home. He learned courage because he refused to be defined by limitation. His love for nature reflects the biblical call to stewardship. His passion for learning reflects the call to wisdom. His commitment to duty reflects the call to service. His resilience reflects the call to perseverance. As we begin this journey through his life, let us remember that greatness is not born in comfort. It is forged in challenge. Roosevelt's story calls us to rise, to strengthen ourselves, and to serve with conviction.
Roosevelt entered Harvard University in 1876, bringing with him a sharp mind, boundless curiosity, and a determination to excel. He studied history, philosophy, natural science, and political theory. His professors admired his intellect, though some found his energy overwhelming. Roosevelt was not content to simply learn. He wanted to understand the world deeply and prepare himself for a life of service. At Harvard, he also experienced profound personal growth. He joined clubs, made friends, and developed social confidence. Yet beneath his energetic exterior, he carried a seriousness of purpose. He believed that life demanded effort, discipline, and moral clarity. He once wrote, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." This simple yet powerful philosophy guided him throughout his life. After graduating, Roosevelt married Alice Hathaway Lee, a woman he adored. Their love was bright, joyful, and full of promise. But tragedy struck with devastating force on February 14, 1884, Valentine's Day. Roosevelt's mother died of typhoid fever just hours later. His beloved wife Alice died from kidney failure shortly after giving birth to their daughter. Roosevelt wrote in his diary, "The light has gone out of my life." He was shattered. The double loss left him emotionally broken, unable to remain in the home where memories of Alice lingered in every room. Seeking healing, Roosevelt retreated to the Dakota Badlands. The Badlands were rugged, wild, and unforgiving. The landscape stretched endlessly with rolling plains, jagged cliffs, and skies that seemed to touch eternity. Roosevelt immersed himself in ranching, riding, hunting, and the hard labor of frontier life. He built cabins, managed cattle, and lived among cowboys and settlers who respected his grit. It was in the Badlands that Roosevelt rediscovered purpose. The harsh environment demanded strength, resilience, and courage. The solitude gave him space to grieve. The vastness of God's creation renewed his spirit. Roosevelt later said that the Badlands made me a man. This period transformed him. He emerged with a deeper understanding of life, loss, and leadership. The wilderness taught him humility, patience, and endurance. It strengthened his belief in the strenuous life and prepared him for the responsibilities that awaited him.
Roosevelt's journey into the Badlands is a powerful reminder that God often leads us into wilderness seasons to heal us, strengthen us, and prepare us for greater purpose. Roosevelt's grief was overwhelming, yet he found restoration in the quiet majesty of creation. The land became a sanctuary where God rebuilt his spirit. His story teaches us that tragedy is not the end. It is often the beginning of transformation. Roosevelt's time in the Badlands shaped the leader he would become: courageous, compassionate, resilient, and grounded in moral conviction. When we face loss, God invites us into his presence, sometimes in the wilderness, sometimes in silence, and sometimes in the beauty of creation. Roosevelt's healing reminds us that God restores.
By the late 1890s, Theodore Roosevelt had already become a rising figure in American politics. He had served as a New York State Assemblyman, Civil Service Commissioner, and head of the New York City Police Board. His reputation was one of energy, reform, and incorruptible integrity. But the moment that would catapult him into national fame came with the Spanish-American War. When war broke out in 1898, Roosevelt was serving as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. He had long believed that America needed a strong naval presence and had pushed for modernization. But when conflict erupted, he felt compelled to do more than plan strategy from behind a desk. He resigned his position and volunteered for military service. He helped form the 1st U.S. Volunteer Cavalry, a regiment soon known as the Rough Riders. It was a remarkable mix of men, cowboys, ranchers, Ivy League athletes, Native Americans, and adventurers from across the country. Roosevelt's charisma, discipline, and enthusiasm united them. He trained with them, rode with them, and lived among them. He was not a distant commander. He was one of them. Their defining moment came on July 1, 1898, during the Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba under heavy fire. Roosevelt led his men in a daring uphill charge. Bullets tore through the air. Soldiers felt chaos surrounded them. Yet Roosevelt pressed forward, urging his men onward with fearless resolve. His horse became tangled in barbed wire, so he charged on foot, pistol in hand, leading from the front. The Rough Riders' courage helped secure a decisive victory. Newspapers across the nation hailed Roosevelt as a hero. His leadership, bravery, and willingness to share danger with his men captured the American imagination. He returned home celebrated not only as a soldier, but as a symbol of American grit. The war was brief, but its impact on Roosevelt's life was profound. It transformed him from a respected public servant into a national icon. His heroism opened the door to higher office, and the American people saw in him a leader who embodied strength, courage, and conviction.
Roosevelt's charge up San Juan Hill is more than a military story. It is a lesson in leadership. He did not ask his men to go where he was unwilling to himself. He led from the front. He shared their danger. He carried their burdens. That is the kind of leadership Scripture calls us to do, and that's called servant leadership. It's courageous leadership, and it's leadership rooted in sacrifice. Roosevelt's willingness to step into danger reminds us that faith often calls us into difficult places. Courage is not in the absence of fear, it is in the decision to act despite the fear. Roosevelt believed in duty, honor, and service, values that reflect the heart of a biblical leadership. His story challenges us to lead with integrity, to stand firm in adversity, and serve others with humility. Roosevelt's heroism was not about glory, it was about responsibility. And that is the kind of courage God calls us to embrace.
After returning from Cuba, Roosevelt's popularity soared. In 1898, he was elected governor of New York. He brought his trademark energy to the office, fighting corruption, reforming labor laws, and challenging powerful political machines. His independence frustrated party bosses, but the public admired his integrity. His success in New York made him a natural choice for national office. In 1900, he was nominated as vice president under President William McKinley. Roosevelt accepted, though he privately felt the role offered little opportunity for meaningful work. Still, he believed in duty and service, and he campaigned vigorously. McKinley and Roosevelt won the election easily. But everything changed on September 14, 1901. President McKinley was assassinated by an anarchist while attending the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo. New York. Roosevelt rushed to the city, but McKinley's condition worsened. When the president died, Roosevelt, at just 42 years old, became the youngest president in American history. The moment was solemn, heavy, and filled with uncertainty. Roosevelt understood the weight of the office. He pledged continuity with McKinley's policies, but he also brought his own vision, a vision of fairness, justice, and national strength. Roosevelt believed the president should be a steward of the people, responsible for protecting their welfare and ensuring the nation's moral direction. He once said, "The president is the steward of the people, bound actively and affirmatively to do all he can for the people." This philosophy shaped his presidency. He confronted powerful monopolies, enforced antitrust laws, and fought for fairness in business. He championed the square deal, a promise that every American, rich or poor, deserved fairness. He strengthened the Navy, negotiated peace in international conflicts, and oversaw the construction of the Panama Canal. Roosevelt's presidency was dynamic, bold, and transformative. He brought energy to the office, believing that leadership required action, courage, and moral conviction. His unexpected rise to the presidency became one of the most consequential moments in American history.
Roosevelt's sudden rise to the presidency reminds us that God often opens doors where we never expected. Leadership is not always planned. Sometimes it is the thrust that is put upon us. Roosevelt stepped into a moment of national grief and uncertainty with strength, humility, and resolve. His belief that president is a steward that echoes a biblical truth. Leaders are caretakers entrusted with the responsibility to take care of others. Roosevelt understood that leadership, and he understood the service that's required. He fought for fairness because he believed every person mattered. He confronted corruption because he believed righteousness exalts a nation. His story challenges us to be ready when God calls upon us unexpectedly for the roles we never even imagined. Roosevelt did not seek the presidency in that moment, but he embraced it with courage. We too must be willing to step into the place God opens for us, trusting His purpose, His timing, and His strength.
When Theodore Roosevelt stepped into the presidency in 1901, He inherited a nation transformed by industrialization. Railroads stretched across the continent, factories filled cities, and corporations grew into powerful monopolies that controlled entire sectors of the economy. Wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, while workers struggled under harsh conditions. Roosevelt believed deeply that America's prosperity must be shared fairly, that the nation's strength depended on justice, opportunity, and moral responsibility. He called his philosophy the square deal, a promise that every American, regardless of wealth or status, deserved fairness. Roosevelt did not resent success. He admired enterprise and innovation, but he believed that unchecked power threatened democracy. He once said, "A great democracy has got to be progressive, or it will soon cease to be great or a democracy." His first major battle was against the Northern Securities Company, a massive railroad trust controlled by J.P. Morgan and other powerful financiers. The trust dominated transportation in the Northwest, setting prices, controlling routes, and eliminating competition. Roosevelt believed it violated the Sherman Antitrust Act, a law that had rarely been enforced. He shocked the nation by filing suit against the company. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, which ruled in Roosevelt's favor. The trust was dissolved. The message was clear. No corporation, no matter how wealthy or influential, was above the law. Roosevelt became known as the trust buster, though he preferred the term trust regulator. He did not seek to destroy business. He sought to ensure fairness. Roosevelt's square deal extended beyond corporate regulation. He fought for safer working conditions, fair wages, and protections for consumers. When coal miners went on strike in 1902, threatening the nation's energy supply, Roosevelt intervened, not on behalf of the owners, as presidents traditionally had, but as a neutral mediator. He insisted that both sides negotiate. His involvement helped end the strike and set a precedent for federal mediation in labor disputes. He also championed consumer protection. After reading Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, which exposed horrific conditions in the meatpacking industry, Roosevelt pushed for the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act. These laws ensured that food and medicine were safe, accurately labeled, and produced under sanitary conditions. Roosevelt believed that government existed to serve the people, not the powerful. His square deal was not a slogan. It was a moral conviction. He saw leadership as stewardship, responsibility, and service. His reforms reshaped the relationship between government, business, and the American people.
Roosevelt's square deal reflects a biblical truth. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of a strong nation. Scripture teaches us that leaders must defend the vulnerable, confront injustice, and ensure fairness. Roosevelt understood that power must be accountable, that prosperity must be shared, and that leadership must serve the common good. His willingness to confront powerful interests reminds us that courage is essential in leadership. He did not fear criticism. He did not bow to the pressure. He acted because he believed it was right. That kind of moral conviction is rare and deeply needed. Roosevelt's story challenges us to stand for fairness in our own lives, to treat others with integrity, to confront injustice when we see it, when we hear it, and when it's brought upon us. To remember that leadership in any form is stewardship. Roosevelt believed he was responsible for the people and responsible to the people. And ultimately, that is the heart of a biblical leadership.
By all Roosevelt's achievements, none shaped the nation more profoundly than his work in conservation. He believed that America's natural beauty, its forests, mountains, rivers, and wildlife, was a sacred inheritance. He feared that industrial expansion, unchecked logging, and reckless exploitation would destroy the land for future generations. Roosevelt once said, "The nation behaves well if it treats the natural resources as assets, which it must turn over to the next generation increased and not impaired." This conviction guided his presidency. He created the United States Forest Service, established 5 national parks, designated 18 national monuments, and protected over 230 million acres of land. He founded 51 bird reserves, 4 national game preserves, and 150 national forests. No president before or since has preserved more land. Roosevelt's conservation efforts were not merely environmental. They were moral. He believed that stewardship was a responsibility, that the land belonged not to corporations or politicians, but to the American people. He wanted future generations to experience the majesty of the wilderness, the beauty of the mountains, and the peace of the forests. His love for nature was rooted in his childhood fascination with wildlife and his healing years in the Dakota Badlands. He understood that nature restores the soul, strengthens the spirit, and reveals the grandeur of God's creation. He believed that protecting the land was an act of gratitude, a way of honoring the blessings God had given the nation. Roosevelt's conservation legacy continues today in every national park, every protected forest, every wildlife refuge. His vision shaped the American landscape and preserved the beauty of creation for millions to enjoy.
Roosevelt's conservation work reflects the biblical call to stewardship. God entrusted humanity with the care of creation. We are called to protect, preserve, and honor the world He made. Roosevelt understood this deeply. His compassion for nature was not just scientific, it was spiritual. He believed that the creation reveals God's glory, that the mountains declare His majesty, that the forest, His creativity, the rivers, His power. Protecting the land was for Roosevelt an act of reverence. His legacy challenges us to be stewards in our own lives, to care for the world around us, to appreciate the beauty of creation, and to remember that the earth is the Lord's. Roosevelt preserved that land for future generations could experience its wonder. That is stewardship in its purest form.
When Theodore Roosevelt left the White House in 1909, he did so with the energy of a man who believed his work was far from finished. He had served nearly 8 years as president, reshaping the nation through reform, conservation, and bold leadership. Yet Roosevelt was not the kind of man who retired quietly. His spirit was restless, his mind active, and his sense of duty still strong. After leaving office, Roosevelt embarked on a grand tour of Europe and Africa. He hunted big game, studied wildlife, and collected specimens for the Smithsonian Institution. His African expedition became legendary, a journey of scientific purpose and personal renewal. Roosevelt believed that exploration strengthened character, and he embraced the challenge with enthusiasm. Upon returning to the United States, Roosevelt found himself drawn back into politics. He disagreed with the direction of the Republican Party under his successor. William Howard Taft Roosevelt believed the nation needed continued reform, continued fairness, continued stewardship. In 1912, he launched the Progressive Party, famously declaring it the Bull Moose Party, after telling reporters he felt fit as a bull moose. His campaign electrified the nation. Roosevelt traveled tirelessly, delivering speeches with passion and conviction. He championed women's suffrage, labor protections, and political reforms. His message was bold, progressive, and rooted in moral responsibility. Though he did not win the election, he left an indelible mark on American politics. One of the most dramatic moments of the campaign came on October 14, 1912, when Roosevelt was shot by an assassin before a speech in Milwaukee. The bullet pierced his chest, but was slowed by a thick folded manuscript in his coat pocket. Roosevelt insisted on delivering his speech before seeking medical attention. He stood before the crowd and declared, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." His courage stunned the nation. In the years that followed, Roosevelt continued writing, speaking, and advocating for national strength and moral leadership. He wrote extensively on history, politics, nature, and character. His books and essays reflected a mind deeply engaged with the world and a heart committed to service. Roosevelt's final years were marked by declining health but unwavering spirit. He remained a powerful voice in national affairs, urging America to prepare for global challenges and defend democratic values. He believed deeply in patriotism, duty, and the moral responsibility of nations. On January 6, 1919, Theodore Roosevelt passed away in his sleep at Sagamore Hill, his beloved home in Oyster Bay, New York. He was 60 years old. His son Archie telegraphed his siblings with the words, "The old lion is dead." The nation mourned the passing of a leader whose strength, courage, and conviction had shaped an era. Roosevelt's legacy lived on. In the parks he preserved, the reforms he championed, the leadership he embodied, and the spirit of the strenuous life he preached. He left behind a vision of America rooted in fairness, stewardship, and moral courage.
Roosevelt's final years remind us that calling does not end when a position ends. He left the presidency, but he did not leave his purpose. He continued serving, speaking, writing, and leading because he believed his life belonged to something greater than himself. His courage, even when wounded, reflected the biblical truth that strength comes from conviction. Roosevelt believed in duty, justice, and stewardship. He believed leaders must stand firm, even when facing danger. His life challenges us to remain faithful to our calling, even when the seasons change. Roosevelt's passing reminds us that every life, no matter how great, eventually comes to its earthly end. But legacy, the impact of character, courage, and service endures. Roosevelt's legacy continues to shape America because it was built on values that reflect God's heart, justice, stewardship, compassion, and courage.
In the rugged beauty of the North Dakota Badlands, the land that healed Roosevelt's heart and forged his character, a new chapter of his legacy is rising. The Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, located in Medora. This library is more than a building. It is a living tribute to Roosevelt's life, leadership, and love for the American landscape. The library stands near the very terrain where Roosevelt ranched, rode, and rebuilt his spirit after the devastating loss of his wife and mother. The Badlands shaped him, strengthened him, and prepared him for the presidency. Now, the library returns his story to the land that made him. The design of the library reflects Roosevelt's values: rugged, natural, open, and deeply connected to the environment. Its architecture blends with the landscape, using sustainable materials and honoring the beauty of the Badlands. The structure rises gently from the earth, symbolizing Roosevelt's belief that humanity must live in harmony with nature. Inside, visitors experience immersive exhibits that bring Roosevelt's life to vivid reality. His childhood, his years in the Badlands, his presidency, his conservation work, and his global influence are presented through interactive displays, artifacts, writings, and multimedia experiences. The library invites guests not only to learn about Roosevelt, but to engage with his ideas, leadership, courage, stewardship, and service. One of the most powerful features is the Leadership Institute, where visitors explore Roosevelt's principles of character-driven leadership. His belief that leaders must act boldly, speak truthfully, and serve faithfully is woven into programs designed for students, professionals, and public servants. The library also celebrates Roosevelt's conservation legacy. Exhibits highlight the national parks he established, the forests he protected, and the wildlife refuges he created. Visitors learn how Roosevelt's vision continues to shape environmental policy today. The library grounds include trails, outdoor learning spaces, and conservation areas that reflect Roosevelt's love for nature. The Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library is not merely a museum. It is a place of inspiration. It invites Americans to rediscover the values Roosevelt championed: courage, fairness, stewardship, and national purpose. It stands as a reminder that leadership rooted in character can shape nations and generations.
The Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library is a powerful symbol of legacy, not just historical legacy, but spiritual legacy. It stands in the land where Roosevelt found healing, strength, and renewal. It reminds us that God often uses wilderness seasons to prepare us for greater purpose. The library invites us to reflect on the values Roosevelt lived by, values that echo Scripture: stewardship of creation, courage in adversity, fairness in leadership, and service to others. Roosevelt believed that character mattered. He believed that leadership was responsibility. He believed that the land was a gift to be protected. As we consider his legacy, we are reminded that our own lives leave footprints. Our choices, our character, our service. These shape the world around us. Roosevelt's life calls us to live boldly, serve faithfully, and honor the blessings God has given. As we close this special Voices of Life journey through the life of President Theodore Roosevelt Jr., we pause to reflect on the strength of character that shaped his leadership and the courage that carried him through triumph and tragedy. Roosevelt showed us that adversity can refine us, that conviction can guide us, and that stewardship is sacred calling. His life reminds us that God often forms leaders in the wilderness and seasons of loss, in moments of challenge, in places where strength must be built one step at a time. Roosevelt emerged from those seasons with a heart ready to serve, a mind ready to lead, and a spirit ready to protect the blessings entrusted to this nation. As we look to the future, may we carry forward the values he lived by: courage in adversity, fairness in leadership, and gratitude for the beauty of God's creation. May we honor the legacy of those who came before us by living with purpose, serving with humility, and standing with conviction. And now, may the Lord bless you, keep you, may his grace strengthen you, may his wisdom guide you, and may his presence go before you in every step you take. This is Pastor David. Thank you for joining us for Voices of Life special. Until next time, walk in faith, stand in hope, and live under the light of his love.
We thank you for joining the Voices of Life podcast, a ministry of the Church for Life. Today, we honored the life of Theodore Roosevelt, a leader of courage, a steward of creation, a champion of the American spirit. His story still speaks. His legacy still guides, his strength still inspires. Next week, Pastor David returns with a new message, a message of hope, a message of endurance, a message titled Faith That Endures. Until then, may courage lead you, may truth steady you, may faith carry you forward. This has been the Voices of Life podcast, where history lives, where faith speaks, where hope rises.